Hey everybody, Halloween Matt here, and today I am back with my third midnight review on Uncle Charlie. We only have, I believe you were seeing this Sunday, so we only have 2 days until Halloween. It's actually amazing to think about that. It actually, this year though, it hasn't felt like, I haven't really felt like Halloween is in 2 days. I'm not really sure why, but this year I've just, it's been kind of a very eventful October, so it doesn't feel like Halloween is in 2 days. But it is, and I am super excited. So why don't we just get started with Uncle Charlie's Midnight Review here. I've had Uncle Charlie here since 2020. I got him in December 2020, and he's held up pretty well. I love the fact that he doesn't have like perfectly new, what seems to be just bright white face paint here. It's kind of grayish a little bit, which adds a little more to the realism that they didn't just make it feel like he's just a normal average clown. He actually kind of feels creepy, and from a distance he looks really good, especially with that graying face paint there. His mouth here. Now this is interesting. He has yellow teeth with blood dripping down. That also looks really cool close up and maybe even from a distance. His clothes. Now, I have a little bit of a funny story. If you notice, his clothes are kind of extra ripped here. That is not just my model. Sorry about that. That is not just my model. It's a little hard to explain, but when I was setting him up, I believe it was late August, his clothes got caught on one of his other pieces, and it was like actually so tangled to where I almost didn't get it out. And during that, some of his clothes ripped. So, so yeah, just know that that's why some of his clothes might be a little torn up here. He's seasonal visions, and they usually have easy setups. So I don't know what I did to make it like so tangled in. I don't even know. I think it was a shoulder piece to where I didn't like. I could not get that clothing out of there. It was so. And by the time I actually got out, like I said, it was all ripped. So nothing really I can do. I believe he is sold out. So nothing really I can do, but if you notice any extra rips, that's why. Free candy bucket is nice. It has a little bit of fake blood coming out of there. It says free candy. This does work with using candy for Halloween. It won't hold as much as, a normal Halloween night would hold. So don't pour an entire 100-piece bag in here. It isn't super strong, so I would even say this wouldn't be even considered a candy bowl prop. So don't use this to store candy, if you have a lot of candy, or if you're putting this out on Halloween night. Don't use this to store a ton of candy, because the arm probably will snap, and that won't be good for you. So just be aware of how much candy, if you are putting any candy into this bucket, just be aware of how much you put in. Now his lollipop here, this looks really neat. I like how they didn't just go with red and white stripes or whatever. They actually made it look very good, and from a distance very appetizing. Like I said, I've had him for a little while, so some of his lollipop is cracked. Yep, you can see a little right there. So he's getting old, but he still works perfectly. For those of you who didn't know this already, I'm going to try and do this one-handed. Hold on. His hat actually comes off, along with his hair, so take a screenshot of that if you want. Okay. So yeah, he is actually bald, and The other night, actually, it was like a very windy night, and I had him outside. His hat blew all the way across the street, so don't have him out on windy nights unless you're gonna like tape down that hat or find a way so the hat does not come off. Like, yeah. I mean, even if you do secure it, like, I don't even know. I think it was already secured, so just maybe go with Bald Uncle Charlie for a day if you're putting him out in a windy, during wind. I don't think we're gonna get that much wind on Halloween, but if I do feel like the wind's picking up, then trick-or-treaters will get to see this instead. So yeah. Now his audio. I will demo him in a few minutes, but his audio is just a normal New Jersey accent. I probably memorized his whole lines in what order he says them because I had him outside on continuous. I'll get to this a little later in the review, but I had him outside on continuous, so I've pretty much memorized his lines and everything. Here's what I want you guys to do. Comment down below what all of his lines are and what order he says them in, and I will reply with that. Okay? I will reply with all of his lines perfectly and what order he says them in. Overall, for his audio, pretty neat. He was actually really loud. The guy walked down the street once, and his voice was... It was so neat to hear his voice echoing down the street. I had him up so loud. Whenever I have him out, it's so neat. Yeah, like I said, it's so neat to hear his voice echo down the street. But his phrases overall are really creepy, and if you really listen to them, they do give off very, I guess, kidnapper vibes. I would not recommend this if you're going for a more kid-friendly haunted house, because some of his voice lines are pretty dark. If you really think about the context of his voice lines, then they're pretty dark. I mean, yeah, sure, if you're just hearing it normally, it just seems like a clown, a clown that wants to give you candy. But if you really think about it, his voice lines are kind of disturbing. Alright, so now I'm going to talk about his price. He is going for $210. In my opinion, that is a little overpriced. I would say maybe more 160, 170 would have been better for him. But then again, he does have the bucket there and the lollipops, so I wouldn't say it's too bad. Like, it isn't like he's like 250 or anything. But for just the simple head turning motion, I would say that is a little overpriced. Okay, everybody, I would say I've been talking about him for 8.5 minutes now. Why don't we get into the demo?
All fun and games, till somebody loses their soul. Don't worry, won't scare me too. Step right up. The voice to live an hour inside wins a prize.
So you might have noticed it already, but his mouth is not moving. Like I said, I had him out on continuous, and while his eyes, his voice, his head turning motion, they all lasted. Sadly, his mouth did break. Now, something that is interesting is a few nights ago, I did see his mouth working a little bit. Like, he would say, let's say, candy, and his mouth would work. Like, he would say 2 or 3 words with his mouth working, but then it broke again. And that he would do that every so often, like, I would say maybe every minute or so. He would say, like, 3 words with his, like, mouth movement, but then his mouth would break again. So, definitely his mouth being worn out. I will look at that. Maybe not before Halloween, but I have a few. I have a few months before Halloween again, so I'll probably look at that before next Halloween at least. So I feel like Uncle Charlie could work for maybe a haunted house greeter, greeting people into your haunted house if you're doing a clown theme or anything like that. Maybe something just to have in your queue line if you're expecting a lot of people. This year, actually, that's what I'm using him for. I'm actually using him as a haunted house greeter this year, on Tuesday. So I really hope that turns out nice. I'll have him out on continuous. Hopefully, nothing else breaks. But yeah, um, imagine like it would actually be so cool if his mouth just started working on Halloween again, like perfectly. I doubt that's gonna happen, but that would be so nice if his mouth just suddenly started working on Halloween. But before Halloween, I actually had him up by my front door, just kind of up there, kind of. You can see him from far away. You just see this clown, with a top hat on, and he's really, really creepy. And he's kind of just the main attraction before Halloween, I would say. The one that really, like, if you're driving down the street, you'll just stop and look at him, because, it's just like, what is that? That's a clown by the front door? You know, it's hard to explain, really, but I had an orange light on him. It just looks so perfect. In Halloween 2020, I believe it was, on Halloween, I had him like that. I don't do that every year. Maybe one Halloween I'll just do that again, but I like to switch it up every year. And this year, you know what? I won't spoil what I'm gonna have on the candy ball. You'll just have to wait till Tuesday. I don't know. I mean, it really all depends on how much footage I get and all that. If I get a ton of footage and then I have to edit it all and stuff, then maybe you'll see it Wednesday, but maybe Tuesday. I'm not sure. The latest you'll probably see that upload is Thursday. So, but if you do want to see stuff on real time or on Halloween, then check out my Instagram because I'll probably be doing a few lives showing you the display with and without commentary. So if you're into seeing the display live or just as a playback on Halloween, then be sure to check out my Instagram, link in the description. Sorry about that, guys. I don't know if it was just the lighting or whatever. I'll play back in the recording, but I swear I glanced up from the camera and I saw his eyes move. That actually that jumps, like, that not only made me jump, but that actually gave me a little bit of chills here. That was creepy. I'll probably play it back. If I play it back in the recording and his eyes actually did move, he won't be out on Halloween because he will be locked away somewhere. You do not move, Charlie. So yeah, I would say that's about it for this review, though. I'm gonna give Charlie a 9 out of 10. The only reason I don't give it 10 out of 10 is because it isn't, like, perfect Halloween, It isn't, like, a classic Halloween monster. I mean, I see clowns becoming more accepted as a Halloween monster, but I wouldn't say it's, like, classic or anything. Especially a clown with his kind of context. I'm just gonna say, I wouldn't say it's, like, very Halloweenish, but it'll definitely creep some people out. And if you're looking for one, I would say check on some selling websites because I'm sure you'll find one. So I would say that this is about it for the review. I hope you enjoyed it. And yeah, I'll see you in the next one. Goodbye. His eyes moved again.